Skylanders, one of the most successful games ever, a huge trend in the 2010s with hundreds of characters and worlds to explore, has an extremely intricate story worth telling, one that even the biggest of fans may not entirely know about. So join me as we figure out what's really been hiding after all this time. Hi everybody, I'm here in my house, though I might have to move out soon because, like, do you know how expensive Skylanders are nowadays? It's actually not that bad, it only costed both of my kidneys. But anyway, Skylanders is a cultural phenomenon, one that features so much content, characters, and of course, story. So today, I'm gonna run through it all while I face my personal demons in history of the game. Here we go. But first, this video was sponsored by nobody. I got you. Thought there was gonna be a sponsor. No, there's not. There is not. Buy my merch. Out of the gate, we gotta deal with a couple of problems. The most obvious ones being the amount of characters and content. Within only a few years, Skylanders has developed 6 mainline games, a show, novels, and comics. Along with that, we gotta figure out what it specifically means to be a Skylander. My general thought process regarding them was essentially an elite team of heroes, people who deliberately train and validate their position as a Skylander. Sometimes they apply, other times they immediately get thrown into a high position. What this means is basically just the Skylanders have unionized hero work in a fantasy environment, so everyone has their own reasons for being a Skylander, own origins, own contributions to the story. This is a major problem. We have over 150 characters canonically part of the Skylanders roster from each and every corner of Skylands. Hell, it's gonna go so far. There's alternate universes. We have a multiverse. We got Donkey Kong, Bowser, Crash Bandicoot, all of them canon. Try and stop me. You cannot. This is already a mess. From the start, I had 2 major questions that never really get answers, so I made my own assumptions. First, Spyro, by technicality, the most popular character here on account of randomly being included to the franchise. He is the most powerful Skylander, unironically the LeBron of our story, a leader above all else. This is instantly an issue because, like, this is also Spyro, and this is also Spyro, but then there are also Spyro characters like Sparks, Moneybags, Cinder's a member of the Skylanders. All of them are in this universe. What do we do? Well, I mean, we already got a multiverse, already got Donkey Kong. It was over before it began. Even without the crossovers, the handheld games have their own stories that contradict the console games at points, but as we're gonna see, the entire timeline is incoherent, so it really doesn't matter. You can cram them all into the same continuity or timeline, and there really isn't anything to disprove it. So with that logic, I'm gonna roll Skylanders into the same world as Spyro, but taking place far in the future. A lot of the species, geography, the floating islands Spyro commonly has are all indicators these are the same continuity or inspiration. Maybe this Spyro's an ancestor to this Spyro. It works for me. I mean, genetics haven't been too kind to the Spyro. I mean, look at that side angle. We don't have a perfect order of events, but it virtually doesn't matter how early this was. Before anything, before possibly classic Spyro, maybe Spyro's reboot, and definitely before Spyro, but with a malformed pug skull structure's time, there were the Ancients, a group of geniuses, but incredibly lazy. During their time around, they managed to form the Skylands, befriend the dragons who roamed across the land, and ended up setting up the Core of Light, this being a magical MacGuffin that, so long as it exists, protects the Skylands from falling into darkness. Light good, darkness bad. Should be noted this was done using mind magic, which is essentially a difficult resource to obtain that can alter reality and create matter as we've seen. Specifically, it is what the Ancients relied on and what they obliterated the darkness with. We also gotta bring up the Skylanders gimmicks. There's a huge amount of Skylanders who I would best refer to as gimmick Skylanders. You know, the ones from each respective game who got their own little quirks going on, the Giants, the Swap Force, the Imaginators, most of them implied or explicitly said to have been around for centuries. These are legendary teams who do what they can to save the Skylands. The first one we want to look at comes from tens of thousands of years ago, the Giants, the first and oldest team of Skylanders who were mostly dedicated to defeating the invasive empire of Archeans. Robots with advanced technology hellbent on advancement and expansion. Their most prominent creations we know of include the army of big ol' robots, the Skylander drill sergeant, and I'm pretty sure the armor of Chop Chop, who is by far the greatest Skylander. He's so cool. I want him in his Soulsborne spin-off game. He's by far the best one. So the Giants destroy the Archean source of power, the Iron Fist of Arcus, but in exchange, change, it launches the Giants to Earth, where they enter the statue mode. Best comparison I can think of is the Smash Bros. Brawl Subspace Emissary, where Skylanders are launched hard enough, they freeze and turn into trophies on their way to Earth, where they act as small meteors and possibly kill someone upon their entry to the atmosphere. I would not be shocked if Meteorite Gilgrunt ended someone's life. Around the same time, this is Captain Freightbeard. He was a problem until he was trapped in the Chest of Exile, where most of him rots to this day. This is the most of this character. Remember him in 30 minutes. Centuries later, still centuries ago, we got the Swap Force, a team of Skylanders who are pretty good at what they do, though one of their biggest responsibilities is every 100 years a volcano shoots and replenishes magic all across the infinite Skylands. So it is stupid important that it's protected. Though the darkness shows up one time before the eruption in hopes of corrupting the volcano, and the Swap Force prevents it, but in turn are caught in the eruption. This gives them the ability to swap their top and bottom halves with each other, but in exchange also launches them to Earth. It's a very convenient convenience that's gonna continue in the future. Then, way later, anywhere from years to centuries ago, this is Master Eon, one of the most powerful portal masters. If you are a portal master, you're basically like better than the Skylanders. You are immensely powerful, like instant political power and prominence. So when Eon's a little boy, he's afraid of falcons, a dishwasher for a portal master named Natty Bumpo. And he discovers he can manipulate portals. He's better at it than dishwashing. Because of this, the remainder of his life goes to leading and supporting the Skylanders as a program, being responsible for recruitment, leadership, most importantly, the ability to use portals, magic warp pads that can instantly transmit anyone who steps on them across the Skylands and beyond. Later in Eon's career, he finds a baby Spyro, nurtures him, raises him, tries to continue the way of the dragon, and accidentally makes Spyro an egotistical asshole. Again, none of these guys are the same, and the center one looks like a Wattpad thumbnail that would go viral on DeviantArt in 2009, but all in all, Eon kind of dooms the concept of Portal Master as a whole. Like, it's meant to be this stupid important thing, but Eon kind of sort of forgets to have kids of pure heart or seek out people with Portal Master capabilities. If he doesn't do anything about it, the efficiency of Skylanders are gonna be fractioned. And unlike his dear mentor Natty Bumpo, Eon's been unable to gather real substantial apprentices. The closest thing being the scholarly assistant Hugo, who's useful in the story, but not doing as much as he initially could. As all of this is going on, we have Kaos, dedicated to evil, enabled by his mom. By the way, this is Kaos's mom, Cassandra. She's pretty important, remember this one? Kaos is a bad boy. First major incident, he forms the daycare class into a major army, only to be thwarted by nap time. Kaos and Master Eon are related. Eon has a jealous evil portal master twin brother, Strikor. He marries Cassandra, they have Kaos. Eon's live, laugh, loving as uncle status, while also being the most important person in Skylands. Too bad they're evil. Kaos's whole family are dark portal masters. In the ancient time, Eon and Strikor led the Skylanders, and there was this period where the core of light was guarded by nothing but Spyro's dragon's ancestors. Suddenly, Strikor decides to be a problematic Peter, so he corrupts the dragons and he's banished for his bad attitude, for bucket dipping in a place full of full buckets. This leaves Cassandra a single mother. She enrolls Kaos into an evil academy. Pretty quickly, he meets his second-hand man, Glumshanks, working as a servant for a majority of his career. And then the two of them both get expelled, which I, for one, am upset on Glumshanks' behalf, because he really seems interested in pursuing a proper education. In response, Kaos gets his giant head hologram to eat a gymnasium. So now here we are, the first major entry in our timeline, the one, the only Skylanders Academy, taking place before 2011, but closer to that period. Timeout. There's a couple continuity errors and plot holes. The general consensus is no. The showrunner has explicitly said Academy and the main games are not canon to each other, alternate continuities. I am going to be ignoring that because I don't like what I'm hearing. I know what I'm about. All right, let me explain. There's a pretty solid amount of complications no matter how you implement Academy. By all means, these are separate entities as much as they aren't. I don't care. Game says Spyro was recruited at a young age. Academy says he's been raised by Eon. Cassandra regularly shows up in Academy, but in the games, she's been banished for decades. Crash can't talk in one, Crash can talk in the other. You get it. You get it. Skylanders is blasphemy in every regard. Not like it matters. The priority of these games were cool-ass figurines, not making a coherent narrative. My take is that all of this is canon to an extent, or at least similar to what happened in the true timeline. One of those multiverses that are like really similar to the true continuity that skips over mild differences between both so we can move on with our lives. Because the sooner we get to chop, the better. And don't worry, there's better ways to connect Academy I'll get into. A majority of the show follows the trio of Spyro, Eruptor, and Stealth Elf. Eruptor's this lava fella born on a lava land. He's cool, he's earned his spot. Stealth Elf is born in a deep forest, gets a whole bunch of ninja skills, also earned a spot on the roster. In the first episode, they do a final exam to graduate. Spyro fails for being kind of a dick, then Kaos pops in, Spyro saves the day. The gang's graduated, that's the end of the first episode. Here's where we get to see a lot of how Skylanders society functions on missions. Small teams will all go to whatever crisis they're tasked with stopping. Team sizes range and differ, usually based on situation, but a lot of the time they will keep to themselves or anyone they befriend working as a Skylander. In specific, episode 2 sees Jetvac moving in with the other characters and making an overall solid team. Now, in terms of origin, Jetvac got his wings in tradition to his village. One day, it got attacked. He was willing to sacrifice himself to save innocents. Gets recruited. This is a trend for most of the basic non-gimmick Skylanders, by the way. It's very simplified. Most of their origins are born in location, prove worth, occasional funny variable, added to main crew, repeat. But Jetvac is special for one reason and one reason only. He's got daddy issues. Also, he's a bird. So just like how a lot of these types of shows are, the main crew will be tasked on a mission, meet some characters, hanging out there, solve some sort of conflict while dealing with their personal grievances, and on occasion gets fragmented with some sort of personal story between one of the characters. Best comparisons are like Kids Next Door, Slugterra, Ninjago, weirdly the most convoluted show of all time. It's among the ranks here. Season 1 follows Spyro's pals all getting accustomed to their new lives. Partway through, they're asked to guard the Cloudcracker prison with a lot of imprisoned bad folks. Basically, this is your world prison. You're impelled down. In specific, we want to talk about the Doom Raiders, a crew of powerful enemies of darkness. One day, a queen aptly named Golden Queen made a team simply striving for wealth, fame, and power. Standout names of the Doom Raiders include Chompy Mage, Wolfgang, Dr. Crankcase, but not in the show, he's more like a late addition, and the rest of them who, As for Kaos's relationship to the Doom Raiders, he has a little crushy crush on Golden Queen, so good for him. Follow your dreams, you bald little guy, you lovable little guy, shine that forehead. Anyway, everything goes horribly wrong, causes a lot of problems, Doom Raiders escape, so then Spyro convinces Pop Fizz, easily a top 10er of best Skylanders, little gremlin alchemist genius guy whose potions give him a Hulk form basically. Pop Fizz builds an evil scope, which essentially lets Spyro instantly mitigate all evil available. But it creates this moral dilemma because it's catching evil before it can evil. So then by proxy, he develops a severe addiction to being a good person. But by stopping the evil before it can evil, it causes more evil since the evil technically never did anything to be recognized as evil, so the evil builds up and after like a half week it all bursts at once. This point indicates that it is a necessity for the planet. It's like piss, we gotta remove it or else everything implodes or something. When Spyro blows up the evil cluster, it creates a portal that brings out Crash Bandicoot this early. Whoa! Now, technically, this isn't the Crash we're accustomed to. Kind of like most of the franchise, it's an alternate one. He was taken in his equivalent of the final levels of Crash Bandicoot 1, specifically like right before the final boss. Otherwise, this Crash is closer to the one in that horrifying Crash 2 commercial. There's at least 4 alternate Crashes. Like, he can speak. That's one thing he's not supposed to do consistently. It's like Kirby not being very hungry, or Sonic having 2 above-average games in a row. It's not possible. So Crash joins the team on a mission to obtain a dark relic, one that supposedly will be able to send him home. The relic's revealed to be this evil book Kaos stole from his mom on account of the fact he lives in the castle equivalent of the basement. So the gang head on over, snatch the book from Kaos. He does a really bad job from defending it. When they get back to the academy, Eon sends Crash home. Then the book pretty instantly corrupts him. This evil's like a substance. He's infected with the bad vibes of the world. So Spyro and pals gotta find the core of light as a cure. I'm assuming the core's not been relocated, so this is them learning the hard way. It should be right next to HQ. As this is going on, the Doom Raiders pop up. Oh, crackers. Guess all the cadets and other Skylanders available are gonna do what they can to slow down the bad guys. They fail. Failures of students we will talk about later include Snapshot, mildly important, Food Fight, Living Artichoke, never important, Trigger Happy, iconic, but not really that important. It's like Sir Daniel Fortescue from PlayStation. We love him for being there, even if he's not really the biggest thing. And last of all, there is Bad Breath, who is stinky. That is his power. They let anyone on the Skylanders. Yeah, but Doom Raiders win that fight, lose the book to Eon when he gets better. Everybody goes home to regroup. Here it's revealed that Cassandra's actually pretty cool. In fact, her and Eon have a secret alliance prepared in case a worse evil they both know about shows up. Very nice of him, considering he's the uncle for little Kaos. By the way, where is Strykor? Where is his dad? It just feels weird to not talk about him. Anyway, Season 2 expands more on Spyro's Dragon history, correlating a lot with his reboot story. And holy moly, Pop Fizz has officially joined this team. This is honestly a solid lineup, but it bothers me how we got 2 magic elements before any water or tech ones even. I mean, they have Sprocket as a substitute, but still. This season really gives more time to convey how the entire cast is evolving and how we're consistently growing up in the world. Doom Raiders are up to their general shtick, pretending they're the seasonal antagonist. Meanwhile, Stealth Elf will spend time with Giant Ninjini, and this is an instant non-canon card. Cannot be canon, we have to ignore this. Giants were banished, this is impossible unless Academy takes place 10,000 years ago, but I refuse to believe that Hugo makes it past 45. This is Cinder, a new cadet Spyro teaches to be a hero. Too bad he's bad at everything ever and looks like a douchebag with scales, so we don't like him. At the end of their mentorship, it's revealed that Cinder's dad is this guy named Malfor, whatever you want to call it. I've heard both. The worst dragon of them all, ruler of the underworld. From this point on, even though both names are technically correct, I'm gonna be saying Malfor for the rest of this. Sorry to the 6 people who are gonna be upset about it in the comments. I've interacted with the community. I know what you guys are like. Please don't yell at me. But you know who else is gonna confront Malfor? This other cadet, Hex. She's a sorceress who already failed that initial exam to become a Skylander like Spyro did. She's just back in class. She has to pay for tuition again. She has to do it all over again. But in the story, her and Malfor fight when they learn about each other. Malform gets low diffed, so he's like a double bitter guy now. Especially when Cinder permanently leaves the underworld and her dad behind. By the way, Cinder's like a regular now. Her and Hex join a couple other cadets and make a B team led by Hugo as backups, so you're technically relevant. The final arc of the season follows the Doom Raiders actually doing stuff. Namely, they've been trying to convince Kaos to dox his mom to no avail. Over the season, he's been going through it in part because Glumshanks enrolls in school, until Kaos intentionally gets him expelled, which isn't very nice of him. That's a bad boss to employee relationship. So this floating head member of the Doom Raiders, Dreamcatcher, she stumbles to Strike Core, finally appearing in the Dream Realm. He offers up Cassandra's address because he hates his wife and gross bald baby son that much. I'm pretty sure this is the actual force Eon and Cassandra were holding off. Actually, yeah, no, that's 100% right. This goes horribly right for the Doom Raiders. Dreamcatcher gets amnesia, but Golden Queen turns Cassandra into gold, which is, like, it's supposed to be a magic strength test thing. She used to be immune to this ability. Chaos's mom got nerfed in the patch update. And then Spyro finds out about Eon hiding the truth when Strike Core corrupted all dragons. He's justifiably upset. Chaos then finds that evil book from the last season. They have a proper father-son talk, good time, and Chaos is grateful. I encourage this, but now it's time to kill everybody who's ever wronged them. Chaos is given all of his parents' powers, then Malfor shows up and offers a bargain. In exchange for a Strike Ore, he'll give us Spyro, and Chaos likes that deal. He thinks about it, he snatches up that purple dragon pal and steals all the light, which then turns Spyro into a dark little critter, and then frees Strike Core from the dream prison realm thingy. Not all too complicated, I think, probably, possibly, but now there's Dark Spyro. Ooh! Ooh! The weak will quiver when a nice guy loses their temper. Also, Cinder forgot to escape with everybody else, so now she's trapped in hell. And that's Season 2. Spyro's evil, Chaos has a lot of power now, and now we gotta look at Season 3. About the same as the previous arc, but now Spyro's gonna be going through his edgelord phase, this dark era. He's so cool. Oh my gosh, what a badass. Throughout most of this season, Spyro's actually gonna be working for Strike Core. He's been enveloped in the darkness, as you can clearly see. He's like changed his name to Dark Spyro, knowing darkness is a sensitive topic and makes everybody uncomfortable. This is like changing your name to Baby Eating Brian. You are giving yourself away. Rest of the cast is kind of doing their own things. Eon's trying to make sure everything's in order. Cassandra's joined the academy because Chaos and Strike Core took over her castle. She's cool though, so it's fine. Stealth Elf gets the friendship with a coworker 40 years older than you at the first job thing going on, and the rest of them are here. The latter half definitely has the highlights. In episode 9, Dark Spyro and Ripto needs to talk about Crash, so they time travel back to Season 1, grab him. Man, this by proxy obliterates the timeline. Now Glumshanks is ruling, not very good, so it gets stopped and Crash goes home again. Not all too sure how this affects the timeline or life that was altered, but we're not gonna worry about that one. It is his own fault for having an Australian accent. I don't even care about the possibility of time travel. I would argue this could easily be used to win any fight or situation that goes wrong. Like, the Academy just has this. There's no consequence. Besides that, we got a new major character to keep in mind for the rest of this. Flynn, a legendary pilot, claiming to be the best pilot of the Skylands, which is very possibly true considering a majority of his species of the Mabu look like this, so you know what, I might side with him. While hanging out with Flynn, Stealth Elf figures out Stark Spyro is enveloped in this evil darkness. Oh no, how could you tell? So then everybody gets the ingredients to split the good and bad halves into a 1v1. Good Spyro wins, he quite literally kills his inner demons, then they make their way to a big ol' finale. Strikor makes his army of Glumshanks, just mountains and mountains of Glumshanks clones, while Kaos, who's really just been doing his own things most of the season, finds a map to this ancient city of Arcus, like back when in Giant Spanish, those Archeans. This is the same one, this is the same city, but this is gonna get retconned because we go to the city again in Giants, but it's I love this game. It's a race to the city. The Skylanders decide the only way they can beat Kaos there is by using the psychic abilities of Cinder. Still trapped in hell with Malfour, by the way, and they only free her when they need her. Kinda bad friends, not gonna lie. But then they do that, Malfour's peeved, they fail to beat Kaos there anyway. Kaos makes it to Arcus, and then his reward is to use one of those ancient Archean robots. This goes straight into Kaos trying to destroy the Core of Light while Strikor faces Eon and Cassandra. They're successful, using the power of friendship to once again trap their corrupt husband/twin brother. At the Core of Light, the main crew, along with Crash, Flynn, and Coco Bandicoot for some reason. I guess he's on the equivalent of the second or third game at this point. Maybe, sure. The fight with Kaos goes pretty even, while Flynn's on his way to pick up the two wizards after fighting Strikor. Coco starts building a device that'll EMP some robots mid-fight. It works, and as a little gag, they decide to let Pop Fizz play with her boomerang, only for it to be a complete whiff. Then they stall until Eon comes in and reveals something devastating, obscene, unexpected. Strikor isn't Kaos's dad. He is! Oh my god, Eon's a father, but he has to be an uncle still, right? Right? Oh yeah, he is a niece. Okay, yeah, we're good. Cool. But yeah, this means that Eon and Cassandra have been a thing this whole time. Kind of recontextualizes a big number of events so far, like their alliance was justified. That's why Eon had a soft spot for Kaos during all of this. It means that Cassandra and Eon most likely had some relationship-based trauma. I'm way too curious about how this came to be or how they got into this situation at all. They tell Kaos that due to his nepotism, he would be so famous and wanted that every villain in the Skylands would want to try to abduct him when possible, so they did what they had to. This also makes me wonder where Kaos got his height from. He's like 2 feet tall after possibly being centuries alive. Unless he is the short king, he's not getting Golden Queen. The gang is close to talking Kaos down until the boomerang Pop Fizz threw comes back. Kaos falls, the robot almost crushes the Core of Light. Eon sacrifices himself to save it and everyone. Thank you for that, Coco Bandicoot. You have ruined something good. So everybody's sad, Eon's gone, Cassandra decides to become the new headmaster, promotes everyone to pure Skylanders of the mission. Why weren't they already? Kaos and the thousands of Glumshanks are all in prison now. After about a day, Eon visits Spyro, revealing that he is still alive, now just stuck in between realms, but still able to send holograms of himself, basically. Here he reveals that he's found Spyro's family, and so the two of them embark on a quest for Spyro to learn about the missing puzzle piece of his life. This goes nowhere. And with that being said, the Academy show is done. This weirder, debatable canon section all out of the way. Still ignoring that canon where it counts. We can even treat this like an alternate timeline what if scenario of things that already happened. Maybe Academy did one for one happen and it was different. We don't know, doesn't matter, probably multiverse. We're back to main game continuity. So Ninjini's vanished again, back to Earth. Doom Raiders go back to the Cloudcracker prison for the future. Kaos and only the original Glumshanks escape prison and swear revenge. All cadets in training have been promoted to regular Skylanders, except for Bad Breath. He's permanently retired following substance abuse. He's out of the story. Flynn and Hugo are regulars around the whole program. Relationships are being devolved. Cassandra is no longer headmaster of the Academy. Her story's gonna get revised. Master Eon changed his mind about being a spirit. He got better, and this Crash will never be thought of again. We will never talk about him, we will never speak of him, and he will never speak again. Basically, any retcons are being retconned. We're done with this prequel slash not canon thingy. That is another scenario that I made canon just to piss off the fandom. It's a lot, I get it, we're moving on. But not to the games. Oh, no, 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 no. Instead, we're dealing with the novels, because it isn't fun for me until there's literature involved. Oh boy, you know me, you know how much I love reading. At least a couple weeks before the first game in 2011, there's Machine of Doom. The very first time the Skylanders fight Kaos. Shit. Okay, yeah, yes, Academy, probably, definitely, alternate timeline. Still a similar timeline. The true timeline never had Kaos fight the Skylanders until way after Spyro graduated. That's simply not the case in Academy. My final stance and personal recommendation for this is I'm gonna take Academy as what if Kaos started being a problem before Spyro became a true member instead of hanging out in the Academy. Therefore, all the changes and differences in that timeline were because of Kaos choosing to be problematic later. You can take it or leave it. There can be other variables, but that is the most obvious one. Pretty sure this solves most of the problems we see here. Why is a franchise with a character named Flipwreck so convoluted, and how much that is actually my fault? This novel sees Spyro, Gilgrunt, Eruptor, and Boomer, for some reason, all make their way to seek an item called the Chattering Key before Kaos can grab it and discover some secret ancient Archean technology. Partway through, they get the key and then have to trade it because Flynn gets captured by Kaos after going through a scary forest, unlocking the tomb, all that. The gang makes it to the Machine of Doom, where Boomer tries using it immediately. In a masterful gambit, Kaos reveals that this destroys the entire tomb because anyone who could actually make it here was too dangerous to actually operate it. So then everybody escapes, the Machine of Doom falls into a pit, and then the Skylanders recognize that, oh, pomegranate peanuts, Kaos is an actual threat. Hope that doesn't happen again. And then it will happen again. This takes us to the 8 novels under the Mask of Power, each following a few Skylanders with their own side missions. You know, y'all, I gotta keep it real, this was not worth the read. All you gotta know is that at the end of each book, the good guys grab a fragment of the Mask of Power, rinse and repeat 8 times with different sets of members per book. You get the picture. General story across the novels sees Eon get captured by this guy named Squirmgrub. He changes his mind. In the Book of Power, the thing that tells him where the mask fragments are tells the future and reveals that Kaos is gonna wear the mask, which makes everybody sad. And you know what? He does that. He puts on the mask, everybody panics because he steals their powers, so Kaos makes it to the core of light, tries breaking it, and specifically Trigger Happy clutches up and peeves Kaos by taunting him like at the end of It Chapter 2. It hurts his feelings. Then it works and they smash the mask. It's so dumb. Why did you even gather the fragments to begin with? You could have just like broken the first 2 or hid all of the pieces. This was a waste of time across 8 books. You could have burned the book too. Okay, finally, the first game. Skylanders Spyro's Adventure 2011. Only took like 5,000-ish words, but here we are, the very first full game. And we gotta start on the 3DS. The console and the handheld versions have a pretty decent amount of differences, so I'm gonna bring up both. I'm gonna try fitting all of this into a single timeline. You can agree to disagree, but friendly reminder, you're trying to fight me over a series with creatures like this. Plus, story continuity was never the priority of this franchise. On the 3DS, there's this guy named Hector. He goes to invade the Radiant Isles, being a land where a group of Mabu called the Mystic Seekers look for the Radiance. There's 2 Seekers who escape Hector's grasp. In the opening, the dad one, Fargus, saves his kid, Wendell. And then you gotta go around and get ready to destroy the big bad item Hector's using called the Dark Mirror, and then you go do that. The game was fine, I guess. Put this in front of the console version because I would argue ignoring the contradictions which are all across the franchise. You are essentially warping characters from Eon's base to and from the missions. There's this argument that Eon's astral form makes no sense because that gets addressed in the console version, but this is straight up just an ability he has, so it does not matter. The start is about the same as usual. Peace and prosperity among the 32 Skylanders currently all available, all hanging out at the core of light. Familiar faces of the 32 include Spyro, Stealth Elf, Eruptor, Trigger Happy, and King Chop Chop. Suddenly, Kaos returns from his exile to the Outlands, feeling extra chipper because he has a Hydra. He makes his way to the core of light and starts a major war where the Skylanders actually lose. It's a complete blowout, actually. Kaos breaks apart the core of light and then launches all the Skylanders to Earth, where he thinks they'll never return. Gotta stress this, it's meant to be our Earth. I don't know why there's duplicates of each character. Like 8 million Gilgrunts is a lot of Gilgrunts, but not something we know about or are gonna. But yeah, they're scattered across the globe and tiny. There's not confirmation that being launched across space shrinks you. This means Skylands could very, very possibly just be very tiny. Spyro's the size of a fruit bat. Unfortunately, the endless depths of space are cold and unforgiving, so the gangs are all transformed to statues and get mistaken for toys due to being 3 inches tall. These are real living beings frozen in limbo, and here we are playing with them. It is because of that I felt really bad when I ripped off Chill's arm, and I thought she could feel it, so I felt really bad and I cried. And after all this time, all this work, all this dedication, all this effort, Eon finally finds a portal master worth protecting the Skylanders from all the ongoing danger of chaos. You, the viewer. Yes, you dear Carson, you too Cameron, you guys gotta help bring Stump Smash home. By buying Skylanders figures, you are canonically giving them a ride home, a chance to rematch Chaos, quite literally saving them from their fate of being frozen on an alien planet. So if you had empathy for fictional characters like I once did before the incident, you would then be dropping roughly 350 USD for the whole roster. I should be recognized as a hero. I have Whamshell. Do you know how hard it was for me to rescue him without a driver's license? As for Master Eon, who's recovered from being a spirit, he's kind of changed his mind on that too. In the end of the initial battle, he launched into his own Portal Master portal, aka a big no-no for all Skylanders to do. As a result, he's trapped between realms with no real way of escaping, so all he can do at the moment is guide new Portal Masters and Hugo to whatever routes they gotta take down Chaos in. Primary goal is simple, we gotta rebuild the Core of Light. How do we do that? We gotta go to each corner of the land, gather 8 of the Eternal Sources, being vital magic items from each of the game's elements every Skylander falls under. So as you go through the game and the adventure, take your time rescuing more of the lost Skylanders, get Stealth Elf twice because you bought the 3DS pack and then the triple pack because she was right there and you wanted Wrecking Ball. You really wanted Wrecking Ball even though tier lists say he's low tier. And then you pick up these items in levels called lore tablets. Oh my god. Every single Skylander has an origin story. There are over 150 origins written and documented. Before you ask that I go through every single Skylander, the thing I was horrified of doing and made me hesitate on making this video a lot, I came up with a solution. Introducing Soft, the Skylanders origin formula thingy, a multi-step formula regarding Skylanders origins that almost always works. Here's how it goes. 1. A Skylander is born into a unique village, community, town, whatever. A lot of them are royalty of respective kingdoms or born to be soldiers. 2. They are either recognized as a local legend, complete misfit that nobody likes, or trains what makes them special compared to the rest of their species, possibly to a level where great evils want to use their abilities to their own benefit. No in between unless there is. 3. A situation, usually involving the darkness or local enemy, forces the Skylander to use their power or technology in retaliation. In some cases, they'll accidentally give themselves super abilities. 4. Eon or another existing Skylander finds out about the character. They get added to the roster, a lot of the time to avenge based on their origin to make sure something bad to them never happens to anybody else. Like when Voodoo had his tribe attacked by opposing dragons. He never wants that to happen again, so he wears a dragon skull everywhere and makes all of his coworkers uncomfortable. Or how Sonic Boom's a mother who a wizard cursed her babies to only be alive for a few seconds before they magically return to their eggs. Things like that. People going missing is also in like a quarter of these stories, so all of those count. It's relatively general, but this just has to be done, so some real compelling origins can be talked about because so many of them fall under Soft. You want to know how many of the original 32 fall under Soft? I'm gonna cross out everybody who does. Okay, let's lightning round the rest. Spyro's done, we already talked about him. Cinder in this iteration is still under Malfor's control, freed when Spyro beat her. Chop Chop's origins actually correlate with the Giants, being an elite soldier under the rule of the Archeans. One day he got bored and decided to leave as an undead guard, immediately being recruited for his skills. Drill Sergeant is also Archean tech, being dug up by Terrafin one day and being tasked with serving as a Skylander indefinitely. Dino Rang comes from a separate universe or dimension or something. One day he went from hunting with his Boomerang tribe to walking in the Skylands. Ghost Roaster, formerly Olav, was a foodie who found himself cooking delicious stews and hunting any yummy food possible. One day he falls down a mountain into the land of the undead, quickly eating ghosts, and as punishment, the ruler of these ghosts forced a ball and chain on him at all times. He is recruited out of pity. Slam Bam is 1-for-1, the abominable snowman from Monsters Inc. He's isolated and makes snow cones. One day, Chaos demands to know the secret ingredient rudely. Slam Bam declines, it's peppermint by the way, and then his iceberg is destroyed, so he wants revenge. Gil Grunt is bored and horny. He wants to join the Gilman Marines. Top of his platoon declares war when pirates start trafficking local mermaids he was trying to pull by being a nice guy. From this point on, if I do not explicitly mention a character when they are introduced in their respective game, I've already talked about them or they fall under Soft under my definition. This is the last time you will hear about Warnado. Dude, I forgot how much I love this game. I think one thing I really enjoyed about this one was because of how many characters there were, every time you played it felt like an event. Setting it up as a kid was so fun because you would get all the portals and characters out, you'd bring out like every figure you own and then open up any new ones you might have bought between sessions. Because of that, it made sense not to play all the game at once. You wanted to wait until you had everyone. That way, it was almost like you were getting new characters and DLC per level. I was so into this series. I would literally take my favorites outside, like in the commercials, and pretend I found found them in the grass like the meteorites. Like I was the portal master. When my elementary school banned showing off Skylanders to our friends, there were riots in the halls. Give me Drobot or give me death. I remember the birthday. It was mostly Skylanders stuff as presents. I never really asked for it. I guess my mom just saw the commercials and thought I would vibe with this despite the financial liabilities that would come from it. I mean, my hobbies at that point were building fake towns out of video game boxes so my toys could fight, and then also staring at corners. I liked looking at walls a lot. I was kind of a lonely kid. You can tell. I got the console starter pack, Whirlwind, the Terrafin expansion pack, a triple pack with Bash Eruptor and King Chop Chop. I felt like I had power. I was going to save the Skylands and kill Chaos. Over the coming months, I would make a routine. I did the math. There were 26 chapters and 32 characters. With a small margin of error, I should only play when I keep getting new characters. That way, when I got to the final area, I had the whole lineup. And because of that, this story has lingered with me more than it has any right to. Really, all you gotta know is that the heroes are being rescued at your local Walmart. Hugo, Flynn, and newcomer Callie, who's happy to be here and too good for Flynn. I don't care because there's implied mutual feelings out of it. Or Flynn's just a dumbass who needs to treat others how he wants to be treated if he's gonna pull, pilot or not. What am I talking about? It doesn't matter. A majority of this adventure is getting exposed to the Skylands, learning of what there is to offer, journeying with all of your friends, getting each of the important element items, eventually forming them all together and sending Chaos back to his base, where then everybody takes him and his Hydra down once and for all. And oh my lord, this was the front lines for so many 4th graders across the world. If you don't have perfect precision, you would lose so many of your friends gathered across the journey. I had 31 of the characters. I didn't have Wham Shell yet. I was getting there. All of my Skylanders taken down. My level 1 Sunburn, who I didn't even like, managed to get the final hit. I watched my Camo zap, even Chop Chop eradicated, all in the face of the benefit of the orange bird, who, if Sunburn is your favorite, come on. Once that's done, the gang punishes Chaos and banishes him straight to Earth, specifically Tanzania and Africa, taking us to 2012 probably. Skylanders Giants. First up, the Giants battles happened way near the start. Whole cast gets banished to Earth, but following the events of the last game, Chaos has been rotting in a Walmart until he uses his magic to break free. Therefore, I am taking this as confirmation that the Skylands are tiny and there are millions of clones of each character, because how do you justify these characters being in the store when they were in the starter pack of the last game and at the closing cutscene of the last one? It's a personal retcon, it's stupid. Like, if these were all the new Skylanders added to the roster, I could defend it, but that's not the case here. Speaking of which, here's the giant figures. Mark down the ones we've covered along the duplicates, then implement soft. Here's what we got left. Should note that more and more Skylanders per game become recent additions, since Chaos instigates a lot of the conflicts in Origins, meaning that they were likely recruited between entries. However long each entry apart from each other, I've been basing off of release dates, since that would kind of make sense with the retail part of it and stuff, but technically there is no confirmation. One day, an earlier Skylander named Bash was sad he couldn't fly, so one day he wished for it upon a star, and down came Flashwing, tweaking and attacking the friendly friend and making him depressed and hopeful for love. Shroom Boom comes from a garden Chaos owned that grew organic pizza toppings. Out of desperation, he made a slingshot and got his family out of there, but was unable to save a family of pineapples. It is because of that he is forever afraid of pizza. This also implies Chaos deliberately grew sentient crops so they could fear being eaten by him, which is unironically the most evil thing he has done in this franchise. Regarding the origins of the Giants, all of them are about the same, being fine with life until Archeans cause something to peeve them off, so they join the Giant Force, with the exception of Eyebrawl. So a headless giant declares war on the floating eyeball. Staring contest, first to blink loses. Kind of a mistake though, the giant has no eyes and the eyeball has no eyelids. Oops. This contest lasts for centuries, then the two get bored and decide to coexist as one. Good for them. But I also gotta talk about Crusher, because I'm not gonna lie, he destroyed any chance of me continuing to like Skylanders past Giants. When I was a kid, I went to Blockbuster and got Crusher. I was very excited. I opened him up in the car, and when my folks got upset with me opening it in the car, even though that was never expressed as a problem, as punishment for being an excited child opening my toy I purchased with my $20, my entire collection was taken away until further notice. This blunder left me and my army separated for 44 days. Yeah, Mom and Dad, I counted. Still mad about this one. I thought that was a bit extreme. I was 9, 10, 11. I don't remember how old I was. The point is, I'm pissed. I was young. I was a kid. It was my money. I did nothing wrong. So after a couple days, I snuck into where it was located, deep behind enemy lines, in their closet or something, and I stole a few of them back. Like 6 of my favorites: Chop Chop, Terrafin, Pop Fizz, Zook, Camo, and Cinder. And then when I got them back, it was around my birthday time again, so when I got 10 new guys all at once, it just wasn't the same. Crusher doomed everybody else. I mean, I'm not wrong, right? It was cool. I really wanted to open him. So that's why after this game, it's a blind experience to me. I don't know if it was a good thing to abandon or not to abandon, but overall, you know, it had to happen. I'm just a little disappointed. When Kaos crash lands back into the Skylands, he immediately manages to wake up an Archean robot. This one guy, Ermit, spots him and alerts our team. We have left the ruins of the first game, instead boarding Flynn's ship and questing across the lands mission to mission, repairing any damages when needed. The biggest things to note is Ermit has a robot of his own. A robot has a soul, which implies that all the Archeans had souls somehow. Then, in addition, it's a race to Arcus, the very same one from Academy. So, let's not worry about that. In the end, the heroes make it back before Kaos, use the Fist of Arcus for good, and then they lose. Then, Kaos and Glumshakes make it back to their castle, where it's revealed Cassandra's back. Oh no! Let's look at the 3DS version of the game now. Stop Captain Frightbeard from finding himself in the chest of exile and becoming a greater problem. I talked about this half an hour ago. This is the plot. This is what it said on the wiki article. I'm moving on. 2013 Swap Force. From here on, I'm blind, more of an amiibo fella because I like Smash Bros. And unfortunately, I'd rather have a figure of King K. Rool over Zulu. But you know, I have faith this is gonna carry on to the next adventure. I'm sure it's great. So that volcano thing at the start, the one that replenishes magic, the one that was attacked by the darkness. Yeah, so Chaos's mom did that, Cassandra. She was responsible for accidentally making the Swap Force. As for the 32 new friends we gotta look at, there's really only 4 that were worth the discussion. Countdown is an exception just because he has amnesia and loses memory upon each explosion. That's all there is to this guy. Dunebug comes from a clan of bugs who defend Archean knowledge, and he in specific is next in line to be a great defender of this information, but bails and becomes a Skylander. Starstrike is not from Skylands, instead existing in the cosmos. Kaos attempted a ritual to banish the Skylanders, completely biffed it, and he summoned her on accident, permanently making her leave her life and family behind, justifiably pissing her off. And while most of the Swap Force is pretty generic, being peacemakers and respected people of their homes, Magnacharge is the only real exception. Being a member of the Ultron robots, he was a miscreant and banished, eventually learning new skills and returning to see his robot pals all missing. That's it, that's like the most unique one. I read over 100 origin stories in 2 days. The volcano, and honestly all this story takes place in a region of Skylands called the Cloudbreaker Islands. The bad guys get access to petrified darkness. Basically anything that touches it becomes like double evil. This adventure mostly follows Flynn along with a new friend Tessa as they discover Kaos is using a device called the Evilizer with petrified darkness to infect people with bad vibes. For example, Glumshakes. There's a couple of new faces to meet. The shark guy Sharpfin helps out a bit. Kaos has this new lackey named Baron von Shellshock, another named Mesmerelda. Pretty low stake adventure until they make it to the volcano. Tessa becomes the new chiefess of her community, and Kaos accidentally evilizes himself with a ton of the petrified darkness. And so for an exciting final fight, the Skylanders bash in super evil Kaos's purple crystal toes until he's a fine pace and swaps legs with Glumshakes, which means that Kaos has swap powers and it really doesn't go anywhere. Then let's chuck in the 3DS version. Shortly after the console version, Hugo, Callie, and Flynn also visit Boomtown, where Flynn was born and raised and is currently getting a statue for his heroic efforts as a basically Skylander. Suddenly, Count Moneybone, Lord of the Undead, steals Flynn's statue, turns Callie undead. It's a big deal. And then we stop him because he's being naughty. Oh, did I hear another novel? I think there's more reading. You know me, I love reading. Time Twisters. Didn't look into this one on account of nobody caring about this book in specific, but basically this evil owl, Hutu, they want to gain power like anybody else, so yeah, he wants to time travel, he fails. Here are the Skylanders who stop this crisis. We can move on to the comics. Are you kidding me? There's comics too? This story opens up with the minis entering Skylanders Academy as the first class of students. However, Weeruptor has been abducted and Kaos is pretending to be him, so during orientation day, Midway, Callie and Tessa grab this little lava freak from his impending demise and make it back to stop Kaos from attacking further. This takes us to the 2014 Trap Team saga. So this comic follows the Trap Team from earlier. They beat the Doom Raiders, send them to prison. This prequel comic follows a major fight as Eon summons the Trap Team, namely Snapshot and Wallop. I'm assuming they got banished to Earth and sent back at this point, but they win. There will be more comics soon, so don't worry. Don't worry at all. Don't worry, it's coming. Kaos discovers Traptanium. It lets you trap people and make them your servants. He goes to Cloudbreaker Prison, frees the Doom Raiders, and they are now a problem. A problem with an explosion so big it launched all the new Skylanders introduced to this game to Earth, so they could get brought back. They really all just go to Earth, huh? Hey look, new figures. Let's go over the ones we care about out of 36. Jesus! There's a few worth talking about, but design-wise, this is the best lineup. Like, a lot of these guys look fun, not to mention the Doom Raiders and playable enemies in this game. Don't even start with the minis. Here's the 8 with neat origins. Enigma exists between realms. Sacrifice the chance to go home when accidentally summoned, and chills here now. Chopper is a T-Rex who helped transport the minis. Still don't know what their deal is, but they sure are. Just confirms they were brought here between games and as the comic opens up, so they're a new Skylander, I believe. Funny Bone is here because his origin is about him defending his home from Count Moneybone. It's the funniest place in the land of the undead. Moneybone tried and failed making a funny bomb, basically Batman Joker gas. High Five is a dragonfly, just like Sparks from Spyro. No idea where Sparks is in this story, but he is also in this story. He has a figurine, even though he never left Spyro's side in the original games. What is his deal? This is a character that exists. This is also a character that exists. Isn't that riveting? Crip King basically exists as Chop Chop too, so I like them a lot. They were a spirit, discovered Archean armor. Now they are a cool undead knight. New elements, light and dark elementals. On the light side, we got Nightlight. He was brought to the light realm, and this guy Luminous trying to use the core of light as protection because he's super afraid of the dark. He was also in Cloudbreaker Prison and escaped. Nightlight and him have beef, good for them. Blackout comes from the realm of dreams because there are dreams in another realm. In fact, that's the plot of the 3DS version. Hugo reads a sacred book on accident that makes a lot of Skylands fall asleep to the dream sheep, so they stop it. That's the end of Trap Team on the 3DS. And Spotlight, this other one, showed up when Eon touched the core of light. She vanishes if the core of light is destroyed, and Nightmare is irrelevant. You know what else is irrelevant? Battlecast. Battlecast was this card game that was more generic battles around the Trap Team era. Kaos banishes some landers through a rift. Between this or the next game, there is fighting, and there is a discontinued mobile game. Most of this story is pretty basic, albeit fun, following the re-establishment of the Academy that's been inactive these past few games. I should have mentioned that. It's mostly the Doom Raiders send one of their members to cause problems and gather materials needed for their plans. Each time you grab a member and trap team them so they're stuck on your team. Rinse and repeat. Bada ba boo da ba bo. That's most of the game. I mean, there's a few new good guys. Buzz helps open the Academy, then Mags, who's like an inventor for it, basically an equivalent toward Dr. Crankcase of the Doom Raiders. In the end, Kaos temporarily joins the good guys because he hates the Doom Raiders that much. The Doom Raiders decide that to power their ultimate weapon of destruction with bad smells, they go with cheese that has to be aged by 10,000 years. So they snatch up Kaos, the only portal master they know how to do the thing. Then they do the thing, then that fails. Golden Queen fails. Kaos takes time to steal the weapon and target Earth. So once again, little 11-year-old Brendan has to defeat Kaos on their Xbox or else the world is over. Thank you, 11-year-old portal master Brendan. Kaos has been defeated and joined the Doom Raiders in villain Traptanium rehab where they will be good guys. But probably not, they will change their mind. Okay, so you think after all of this I'd be over the biggest hurdles, the origins of every figure of every version, even a show, I would be unbothered, but no, the IDW comics are another cog in my endless torment. I thought I could make a shorter video. I was wrong. The IDW comic consists of 4 major arcs, a lot following the minis because they really wanted us to drop $10 on Baby Thumpback, but they do a solid job spreading around the characters across the franchise. Even the gimmick figures get their representation here. After the first arc, there's a couple small stories that take place on independent adventures. This one named Blades gets an ego check, a few origin stories are told. Occasional villains return like Captain Freightbeard, the typical toll. The most important character to take note of is this fairy lady named Calliope, capturing the powers of Spyro, Hex, and Cinder, all characters who have a relationship with Malfor. Wait a minute. No, Malfoy. Oh no, he's here. Oh, you little scamp. Major antagonist time. Why are they teasing Malfoy as if he's gonna return? Are kids in the next game gonna leap off their couches and go, is that Malfoy from as seen from Skylanders IDW issues 7 through 9? I mean, I hope not. Calliope grants Malfoy these powers deliberately so the Skylanders who could hard counter him are out of commission. Then he goes directly to raid the academy because if he wins there, then we straight up just instantly claim all of Skylands. It's over. He wins. And this battle is a big deal. There's a plan. Gimmicklanders are scattered and prepped with certain roles. We even see Chop Chop. The entire roster is here to save everything possible. The biggest worry of this battle is when the heroes are defeated, Malfoy steals a good chunk of their powers. So every time he takes someone down, he gets slightly stronger as we watch dozens of the characters are taken out and lose their sauce. Malfoy gets to the academy when he knocks out the sniper squad, and by this time, a majority of them have been defeated. Spyro, Hex, and Cinder, and Trapmaster Wallop manage to get back with the help of Flynn with a plan. First, they trap him in bubblegum and crash Flynn's ship into him. And as Wallop stalls, the other three start building momentum on Spyro so he can crash headfirst into Malfoy and win the war. That is it. That is the battle. It's kind of hard to explain comics in a decent pace. Calliope apologizes for what she did and everyone regains their powers. Her motive was finding her family, but as we all know, thanks to like the 30% of Skylanders looking for missing families, she has plenty of friends to save the day. We did it, Spyro. We saved the academy. Hooray! Malfoy and the fairy lady never show up again. At the end of each issue, there's a mini story that sets up the next one, and here it was a lot of the light and dark elementals accidentally pissing off this one magic villain, Pinata. So for the final arc, he sets up a massive army of candy who cause problems all across Skylands. The Trapmasters retaliate by raiding a base. What is Rocky Roll doing here? He is the exception. Why do you think you're here? It's a great battle, no casualties, only ending when Pinata uses too much candy. He gets a tummy ache and is officially defeated. I wonder if the pinata is flammable. Next up, 2015 Superchargers Saga. The Skylanders are taking a well-deserved break. It's been a stressful, undefined period of time for our undefined collection of characters we know nothing about other than their basic bios and movesets. Life is good. And the villain rehab is in fact a thing that is working. Is what I would say if the villain rehab worked at all, because the Doom Raiders are back. They want to do Doom Raider things, and right on graduation of the minis, oh shoot, what a conundrum. Pet Vac, Baby Jet Vac, he's tweaking because he might fail the final and not graduate. I guess the turnaround from orientation to graduation is like a year, but it could be more, I guess. Golden Queen somehow sneaks in and turns everyone to gold. No idea how, it just ends up this way. Mind you, this is a graduation where at least 40 Skylanders are present. Everyone lost to this. The only way they win is when Pet Vac steals Golden Queen's shit and holds her at gunpoint, saving the land, the Skylanders, his friends, and of course, being no different than Fraternity Littles. They will just follow their bigger clones around, not even related to each other, they just look like this from now on. Post-graduation, the Landers have a little carnival, and Chaos, who's been successfully rehabbed, is being a delight, being a sweetheart, giving out cotton candy, being a... No, I'm just kidding. He laced the cotton candy, he's still evil. Also, this moment confirms that Stealth Elf eats... that's so hard to say fast. Yeah, the elf one eats through her mask sometimes. Why would you do that to yourself? That doesn't seem sanitary. With this window of time, Chaos and Glumshake steal some darkness. No idea what this is, but I guess it's enough to warrant a major panic. Not only is Chaos being a dingus dictator problematic Peterson, but Moneybone's here, and the portals are bugging out. Chaos's main goal is to create rifts that consume land and forces them into darkness. So then Eon and Spyro discover this new magic item called Rift Engines. Basically, if one gets used by a character, they'll be given major upgrades to their capabilities. To figure out more without functioning portals, Spyro has all the characters who coincidentally got new figures. I wonder what's gonna happen. Spyro has all of them break up into their own little squad. Nice little revelation. They meet some new characters. More and more Skylanders we gotta talk about using soft. Only 12 this time, because I still thought 6 of them were compelling, a lot because of previous relationships with other characters. Diveclops is the twin of Eyebrawl. One day he had his wings knocked off, landed underwater, got a suit of armor. Genuinely, what are the odds in this infinite world of both eyes finding each other as Skylanders? Fiesta used to live under the rule of Moneybone. Then it's revealed he's a big instigator of propaganda. I also genuinely believe that Moneybone is more dangerous in intent compared to Chaos and is like an actual cruel, tyrannical rulers, compared to the bald baby boy who turns people into $8 figurines you get at Target. High vault guarded between Skylands and Outlands, horribly I might add. Kaos always seems to make it out of the Outlands. He kind of sucks at his job a lot. Thrillipede is confirmed to have previous relations with adventurers Buzz and Flynn, so he's invited to the pilot cookout pretty often, already friends with the staff. And then we got Donkey Kong and Bowser. Bet you were wondering when they showed up, basically because of Kaos making rifts, the realms or multiverses, let's just say multiverse, nothing really matters anymore. The two crash onto a mysterious island, accidentally claim the extremely unbelievably rare and valuable rift engines before anyone we know might be able to. And also Diddy Kong is here. Where does he come from? How does he show up? I know Bowser's an enemy, but he's not like a horrible leader. He recognizes Kaos might attack him, so this might be the best way to negate this threat as the kingdom panics when their leader vanishes. Like, Bowser, you are a father, text your kids where you are going before you are in a different dimension. A few of the Skylanders meet up with the small team Spyro sent out. They instantly get asked to become Skylanders, kind of pointless to make an academy and have nobody enroll and just instant membership, but sure. Then the Landers there gain the rift engine powers, so good for them. As this is going on, all out war, another war, like the number 3, 4, 6, it's irrelevant. They want to destroy Kaos's Sky Eater, this being a device creating the rift, though it's hard when Kaos and Moneybone are a team now. In fact, it goes pretty horribly wrong. Hugo, Flynn, Callie, even the Master Eon, somehow spirit hologram, somehow all get captured and forced into Moneybone's prison. Time for the game time for racing cars, vroom vroom. 3DS and Wii versions don't even have stories, they're racing games. We don't care, go straight to the other ones. Now this, oh golly gee willikers, I don't even acknowledge the vehicles as gimmicks. This story is basically Kaos's knowledge as an antagonist finally coming together to once and for all claim a victory. We already know there's a massive disadvantage with portals being whack and whatever. My headcanon is this time around, the Skylanders voluntarily launched themselves to Earth so the Portal Masters could use their portals. So thank you again, little Shelby, you've come in clutch once more. Player Portal Masters, along with the Superchargers and anybody else who still has over 100 playable figures from the past 4 games, make their way onto the prison ship and free Flynn, Callie, and Hugo. Next plan we gotta do is find out where Eon's spirit body thingy is. I guess he can't warp to us anymore because its soul spirit's been locked under some traptanium, which I mean, I guess that trap's ghost, sure. This plot is held together by dental floss if the dental floss was on fire. First objective, where is Eon? To find out, we're heading to the Cloud Scrapper Mountains to rescue the Cloud Breather Dragon that knows where all life lives with a horrible doxing superpower. I would hate that. There's millions of billions of creatures in this world. Why would you want to know that? But yeah, he does. Eon's in the land of the undead, so the gang's gotta go to the Cloud Kingdom, get some magic bolts that basically let them light speed travel. But at the kingdom, this one guy, Stratosphere, says, no, I want all of my friends and family to die to darkness. He gets beaten to a pulp as punishment, bolts obliterated, land of the undead, slaughter Count Moneybone, we got Eon back. And just as this happened, the darkness Kaos discovered has gained sentience, so now it's telling Kaos exactly what to do, figuring out what the ancients did to defeat the darkness during their era. It's also revealed here that the darkness leaked onto Skylands through like a dark rift engine, and as we know, it was the core of light that the ancients used to defend, although it was never completed. Instead, it was mostly done, and we need the help of Pomfrey Le Fuzzbottom to learn the remaining secrets. On Kaos's end, he does something unheard of. He fires Glumshanks, who, let me remind you, has been expelled from academics twice due to Kaos, been tormented on Kaos's behalf, and is now out on a job. Kaos is an asshole, and we need to make this right for Glumshanks. He's on the wrong side of the war and too scared to leave. So welcome to the academy. You are our friend now. We like you, Glumshanks. Hooray! Glumshanks, my friend! Only thing that was missing on the core of light called the frickin' Eye of Ancients. Good guys grab it. Kaos attacks the academy, and Glumshanks sacrifices himself. He doesn't actually, but man, he was willing to do it. And then the core of light is destroyed. It goes bye-bye, and we are boned. The world is ending. Ooh. You know, I feel like I'd be more upset if the world was ending. It's kind of concerning. This is my reaction. I feel like I would be panicking a lot more, but I don't know, shit happens. Skylands are gonna die. We have lost, probably, maybe, unless we come back in the last second. Guess what's gonna happen, but it's unlikely. I mean, Mags gets snatched by pirates trying to bail the Skylands. There is no hope. And Kaos looks upon the death and destruction as we've seen before. He's only conditioned himself for victory. Deep down in his heart, he really cares about the land. Just like his dear old daddy-o from a different continuity, probably. That's a really weird retcon. I don't know if that's true or not. So he looks at the darkness as desperate Skylanders raid his base and decide that destroying everything isn't worth it, because then he can't rule everything. So after one more battle, Kaos leaves the darkness behind. It tries to retaliate, even crawls back out of a rift with a Sky Eater as armor as a desperate measure to fight, but it still loses. Fellas, the darkness is gone forever. Light has won the war, and the bad vibes quite literally get sucked out of most of the enemies of the land. The Skylands have survived, and now they enter a new era of peace. Okay, more comics, sure, why not? Half a dozen Supercharger comics take place post-game, and honestly, the premise is fun. We know there's a lot of Skylanders, most of them hard to keep track of, but consistently, there's been some more popular than the rest. Characters who, for being ugly or uninteresting or more, have found themselves not getting new figures, minimal attention, all of that. So to justify some of them missing in action, namely Ghost Roaster, Voodoo, and Boomer, they were all sent out by Buzz in covert ops acting as spies. I like this one a lot because it almost acts as a commentary of sorts. These are all forgotten Series 1 characters. I don't believe they got any new figures up until this point. These are the ones that aren't held too fondly for one reason or another, which I mean, they're telling the truth. Ghost Roaster was my least favorite of the original batch because he freaked me out. But now it's probably Drill Surgeon or Wrecking Ball because, like, what do you say about these ones? They're just like deformed little guys. Implied years of covert ops, it takes some time for them to break free, and remember, it's good to be good. They were following under Spellslamzer, who they work with the Superchargers to win. All the while, Spyro is really struggling to work with Kaos, who's allegedly free of darkness. Now he's pure of heart. Kaos has become a consultant of the Academy, yet Spyro justifiably can't forgive him for his past attempts of attempt on expansion. Oh gosh, wait, do I actually like this story? Oh my god, I do. Oh my god, I like Skylanders again. After that, we also gotta revisit Fiesta and Diveclops. Both of their stories make no sense because they joined Skylanders when recruited by a small team of veteran members, but then both receive invitations with Eon at different moments. Like, this doesn't make sense at all. Oh, hi, Chop Chop, how you doing? Both have personal adventures. Former confronts Moneybones. The latter works with his brother, Brawl. They fight pirates, but I couldn't bother figuring out their names on account of the fact there's like 400 unique characters in the story, and the furthest my memory goes is the Gulper. Moving on, Spyro and Friends comics. Not very story relevant, more so being fun missions following small groups of established characters running missions. More of a fan service and world building thing over anything. Still fun. Huh. You know what? I wasn't expecting to enjoy this world as much as I have, but I guess maybe just knowing how much effort there was to make the world feel lived in is really appreciated. Giving each character their own little quirks to make them special, I can compliment that. In fact, by this point, I was just having fun looking at all the new stuff, seeing what I missed. Coincidentally, I was home visiting my family, and I went through my old stuff. Like, you can tell I lost interest at a specific point. It's kind of crazy to think I left a couple of these things in the box for so long. Even Hot Dog, man, I wanted this figure so bad, more than any other Giants, and here it is, over 12 years later. It never got the chance to even be portaled in game. Wow. Huh. If I ever get into streaming, I want to do a Skylanders Nuzlocke, new or old characters, just appreciate this thing that meant a lot to me at the time. Because I truthfully think there is so much here, and love and substance and everything in between. And with that being said, it's time for our final little era. 2016 through 2019, Skylanders Imaginators. Out of the gate, I gotta say, Spyro is ugly. Ew! Just do this, make this the figure. I promise nothing bad would have come from it. Kaos has rediscovered mind magic, cementing the fact he will be evil no matter the situation. Spyro was right about him. Because of the darkness being gone, Kaos will only be able to continue his atrocities through the use of this. So to an extent, bad morals and darkness are in-universe separate things that everybody possesses, though darkness can corrupt, as we saw with like Dark Spyro, for example. So Eon, seeing that nothing he does ever works, just like puts his foot down once and for all. He just goes, you know what? We're not finding Skylanders anymore. We're just gonna make them. We're just gonna build them from scratch. And this leaves it so every Earth Portal Master can easily make their own imagined characters. They don't do much other than give a massive good guy army, and the only canon one is voiced by Dan TDM. This is the funniest voice cast in anything I've ever seen. To train these Imaginators, Eon gets the help from 31 senseis, these being the most individually unique Skylanders batch we've seen. A majority of senseis are long-lasting Skylander allies on their own missions, really just high ranking. It's a power indicator. It ups your payroll. It's like the difference between A and S class in One Punch Man. Like Spyro, for example, might be one of the strongest Skylanders, but he's not at the top because he would be a sensei maybe. For example, one of the most important senseis, King Pen, was a role model in the academy to his former landers. So with that information, the program looks something like this hierarchy of power with all the positions in mind, all that give or take. Please note, this is Eon's elite thing, this subcategory for the top Skylanders according to Eon, a long-lasting veterans who's been around since like the original game. I didn't even know Dino Rang got another figure after this. Good for him. Along with that, 10 of these guys are villains from Trap Team that have been given ultimatums, either spending all of their existences rotting in Cloudbreaker Prison with extra precautions on security, or take rehab seriously and become senseis after rearranging every book in the Academy library, which takes 2 years to complete. But after doing this, the Doom Raiders are officially dead, with a majority of them joining the hero side. I don't even know what your plan was here, Gulper. Golden Queen, Chompy Mage, Wolfgang, Crankcase, and an unrelated Pain Yada are among the senseis now. And after them, there's 3 other senseis to bring up, though a majority of them have their origins correlating with other enemies, especially the fellow senseis, which was cool to recognize more and more of these fellows being created by villains attempting conquest. Aurora is Eon's niece. He's an uncle, we know that. She was forced under the name of Boss Blades McSlashinator to hide her identity, much like Kaos once did. The difference is she is nice, and pretty quickly Eon almost recruited her before realizing, oh wait, that's my niece under a fake name I gave her. I completely forgot about that. So even though she ignored nepotism the first time and still proved her worth, she was promoted to sensei on the spot. And once again, this confirms that Eon has a sibling, a second sibling, because it's definitely not Strikor. That guy's nose is 100% a dominant gene. Next up, Starcast came to life when Eon wished on a star for more senseis, while Pop Fizz wished to skip anger management class. That's it. Lastly, Kaos. What? Alright, so this is probably Kaos's biggest dumbass move. His logic was having a second Kaos that could do exactly what he needed to, but faster and at a different location, quite literally just existing at separate points at the same time. However, he failed to recognize that the fact that a second Kaos would also want power. So out of pure spite, he joins the Academy to take down himself. And with that being said, we are officially done. No more new Skylanders. I have technically officially gone through every origin. I'm free! Except for 2, Crash Bandicoot and Dr. Neo Cortex of the Crash Bandicoot franchise. Crash and Spyro have always been close franchises to each other, each with common collabs. This makes sense. This Crash, who's not the same one from Academy, not the commercial one, not the Japanese one, not the redesigned Crash, probably not Crash 4 Crash, and possibly Classic Crash, but probably a new separate Crash, is existing on the Wumpa Islands. Cortex builds an annihilation device only to get hijacked by another Crash, Fake Crash. Why are there so many of you? There's like 3 fake crashes alone. Literally instant sensei promotion as Spyro and Mags coincidentally fly to the island and defeat Fake Crash, peeving Cortex off. This is fun. I like the designs a lot. This is my favorite Crash design, right behind the most classic one. In the full campaign, Kaos wants to further his mind magic, so he creates an opposite to the Imaginators known as the Doomlanders. Then he finds out something huge regarding the Ancients in specific. There was once an evil one who tried and failed controlling the Skylands with mind magic. It's a giant brain. His name's Brain. Brain teams up with Kaos, and Brain uses it as a way of buffing himself. Unfortunately, a lot of this one is a bit shorter, so this is generally as far as the game goes, it seems. There's a lot of focus on characters from Academy and attempt to get some synergy going on. Like Jetpack becomes a major character, because how else are you gonna remember these guys? They're mascots among mascots. Overall, you can't quite go on a massive adventure with how much shorter this game is, and by this point, you'd have so many characters. This is more of an expansion than anything. Like, if you were committed, you would have dropped thousands of dollars on all of these characters. I don't know how you'd be able to play all of them and pick your personal favorites, but I mean, I guess you did. But Brain then mind controls all of Skylands. Only dragons are immune, so Spyro helps everybody snap out of it. After chasing down Kaos being more and more greedy with Brain, he goes super. A fight ensues. It's a curb stomp on account of the 150 plus friends we've accumulated along the way at this point. Kaos is defeated and Brain apologizes, recognizing he'll be put in jail for the end of time, probably again, because it happened once, hopefully not again. Brain shrinks Kaos and Glumshanks as tiny freaks in a jar that Flynn seems a little too excited the Academy has now. And it ends with Brain telling the main Skylanders of a tale. And this goes nowhere. Maybe it was setting up for Game 7. Maybe he retells Academy because Brain's so big it can see other universes. We may never know. Other than that, there's Battleground, Lost Islands, a generic town building game, Cloud Patrol, a relatively basic looking shooting game, and Universe, an MMO that is your typical kids MMO that lasted for like 2 years and shut down. Though there is one that actually had some substance to it. Skylanders Ring of Heroes in 2018. And you can tell it's a mobile game, but there is a story here, believe it or not. Kinda obliterates most story and can go anywhere in the timeline, so do with it what you want. Kaos finds a book of dark magic, rifts make the universe unstable, and portal people to random locations, including Portal Masters of Earth entering the Skylands. So little Kevin, who's in middle school now, you gotta be on the front lines with Bumble Blast and I can't think of one on the top of my head. Buckshot. Yeah, Buckshot. The Doom Raiders see this as a chance to escape being senseis. They do that. It's a simple quest where you defeat the Doom Raiders, then Chaos, then go home. To an extent, it's kind of bittersweet. I mean, this is you, the player, meeting everybody in their non-statue forms in the flesh, working alongside them this last time. Since we haven't seen a major update or move forward in this universe, it sucks, but it's expected. Coming into this, my knowledge hard cut off at Swap Force, but here, it was fun seeing all this progress and this new story expand, seeing the tangled tale wrapped into a knot, stupid difficult to unravel. I hesitated for a long time because because don't get me wrong, there's a lot, but it was fun. I've been missing out on this sort of delight in recent video works, and revisiting this meant a lot to me. The new character designs were appealing. I can imagine myself collecting these heroes throughout the games. It would be a delight. Skylanders sits in this odd spot of culture. Any older and they miss the appeal. Any younger and they think it's lame. It's gonna be remembered as this fun gimmick toy more than anything else, but there was love here. There was an idea, and one that was expanded upon entry to entry. It was the first Toys to Life fad, and easily the best of it. Even though this story can be an incoherent, complicated mess with some portions that have no true correct answer, maybe I couldn't get all the details down perfect. There's a lot of love here though. Like, other than Spyro looking like he got plastic surgery following an aggressive chimp encounter, so many of these locations are fun. I'm a sucker for floating islands in media. The comic art genuinely baffled me for how detailed and intricate some of these moments appeared. Like, you got the orchestra guy for doing this. It was very solid writing wise. Like Chaos, for example, is genuinely very entertaining to watch. Possibly one of the funniest villains I've seen without exaggeration. It's a shame, but I feel like someday, maybe even soon, we might see something new. Maybe something exciting, not just like merch or something, a real continuation of any capacity. Maybe a new game with a fun gimmick, like being able to swap elements of old figures, or even just a clean gimmickless adventure. But until then, I guess we're gonna have to wait. The end. Breaking character just this once. Thank you for watching until the end. This was a big project that's been on and off for a while. I hope the wait was worth it. Skylanders meant a lot to me for a certain age, and I spent a lot of time just finding out what I missed, and I'm appreciative of this opportunity. It means a lot that you guys listened until the end of this point, and hopefully we see something new soon. I know that U2's has something coming up, but even then I feel like there's potential coming. If you're new around here, please leave a like, comment, subscribe if you haven't. I highly recommend visiting some other videos of mine or the second channel, Choopo. I have plenty of videos similar to this one, some long, some short. I promise you each watch is worth it. If you want to support me directly, I highly recommend my GamerSubs code or merch from earlier. This helps me continue to be able to produce videos like this one, and it allows me to increase my quality and amount of content I produce. Plus, you get cool stuff in return. And with that being said, where do you put all these when you're done? I'm tired of looking at Grave Clobber on my desk.